Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video where I'll be commenting on a couple games I played against another frequenter of the chat server Nyx. We had a little friendly tournament there, and these are the so-called grand finals games. We are playing best of four. Everybody has 4 decks from the new standard, because we kind of sort of didn't manage to finish the tournament on time, so we have to play the finals with entirely different decks. All the more fun for me, I guess. Well, uh, without further ado, let's get to the first game. Uh, just a little side note, I've never played any of the decks that I'm playing in this tournament right in the video that you're looking at. I've played the priest that you'll see later. There were very few changes with the new expansions, but the rest of the decks are entirely new. Yeah, I did quite a lot of mistakes in these couple games, as you'll see for yourselves. So I'm playing a control warlock. At this point, I knew up front which classes my opponent will be playing, but I didn't know what version, especially because of the whole new expansion situation. So he started playing priest. Last time he played the so-called chain gun priest or the singleton priest. So I kind of assumed that he's gonna stay on that, but wasn't the case. So already it seems like some kind of dragon priest. As for my version, it's a pretty strange late game control version with Gul'dan, Nazoth, and the new Warlock legendary that can destroy your opponent's library as win conditions. And besides that, it just plays a whole bunch of control cards to survive that long. It also has this neat little combo with the 5 mana 2/2, which has a death rattle summon a recruit demon from your deck. I only play really good demons, so if it comes the right way, it can be a very powerful combo. However, in this game I'm struggling really hard to stop the onslaught of his creatures. I didn't draw any clears that will help me, and I think I made a pretty big mistake earlier not trying to clear his board more aggressively. Yeah, this 3/4 was a pure desperation move on my part. I just didn't have anything better, and I was afraid he was gonna run me down too quickly, which, as you can see, is basically already happening anyway. And that's one of the worst parts about this deck. It's really kind of late game oriented, and it doesn't play any Tainted Zealots, those Divine Cheat +1 spell power minions that are really good with Defile. So I'm basically stuck with just the 8 mana clear, Twisting Nether, some naturally good Defiles, which certainly can happen, but it's a little hard to set up. And my creature game, which isn't bad at all, but it's very slow, as you can see here. Also, like drawing both of my Void Lords and Nazoth this early, it's kind of bad. I'm gonna take the Sagat here because I can't play Felguard. Well, in retrospect, given how the game goes, maybe I could have taken it, but the card is just incredibly bad. Yeah, this was really nice from him. Like, I like that. It's a nice innovation. I don't know if he was naturally lucky or if it's the case that his deck just doesn't play any cheap spells. It's possible. It's likely, actually. which is a fun idea, but I doubt it's the strongest version of Priest right now. Priest has so many good versions. Again, I'm playing the red because I don't know what else I can do. Here I could have silenced the big guy. And then I would take even more damage. So it was a tough decision that, well, in retrospect, I think I decided badly. I should have silenced the big guy. Especially since Spellbreaker is on the also sweet spot of 4 attack against Priest, so it's unlikely he would be able to just, kill it with a single target kill spell. But at this point I didn't have any good clear, so I, just tried to lower the damage input so I perhaps can get at least one more draw. But yeah, overall, as you'll see later, I have to say this is certainly the worst of the 4 decks that I took into the tournament, which I kinda knew beforehand because the Chain Guardian Priest is very strong. Of course, you can be unlucky and just never draw your legendaries, and then you're kind of stuck with a deck full of cards that may or may not work against their opponent, but that are certainly not able to finish the opponent off. But if it comes the right way, it's basically unbeatable. The secret mage that you will see later is insane with a good draw. It's really crazy. And lastly, Aggro Hunter. It's a boring deck in a way, but excuse me. It's a little bit boring deck, but again, its nut draws are really quite nutty. Yeah, here I finished with the Bone Mare. I had like a sliver of hope that maybe I could stabilize, but yeah, it was a weird draw. So I started 0-1 against my opponent. I wanted to get my confidence back, so I picked Hunter. Because, think about my opponent, who I've already played against. I'm sorry, who I had already played against. Basically, I think in the semifinals of the winners bracket. Because I came from the winners bracket, and my opponent, who previously lost to me, managed to come back to the finals through the losers bracket finals. So I know a little bit about his playstyle, so to speak. And he seems to like decks that are a little crazy, as opposed to decks that are just cleanest, strongest meta decks. Which of course gives me a bit of an edge, because even though I don't necessarily play the strongest version of a deck, I'm not the kind of guy who would just play something crazy. Yeah, at this point, the connection was a little laggy. I was getting worried, but it will come back on. Excuse me. This game will continue the trend of kind of drawing the deck from the other side. You can see here, like, I'm really unexperienced with the deck, so I kept the Creeper, because I kind of thought with the number of 1 and 2 drops I'm playing, it's very likely I'll play it as a 4 drop as worst, basically. But it's very possible that it's just dead wrong. A good thing about the Creeper, though, is that it is a beast, which is really strong with Houndmaster. Like if you can make it cost 1 or 0 mana by turn 5 or 4 respectively, you have an insane play. It's like bone marrow on steroids then. It's like you get so much power so quickly on the table. So that's basically the main strength of this deck. The other things that it does really well is the early game swarm, but it apparently in this game that wasn't the case. So he's playing. I've played against the mage deck twice, so now I have a pretty good idea of what he's playing. But since this is the first game I met him, I really had no idea. I was kind of expecting the tempo version with some number of the new explosive traps, some number of counter spells, maybe an image. Turns out that wasn't the case, as you will see soon. Now I'm playing the creeper here to get back to the tempo game, because since it's a tempo mage, I don't want him to untempo what's the correct word? Well, out tempo me. So I played the 5/5 in hopes that he doesn't have a clean answer. Even if he fireballed it, it's still fine, because it's one less fireball. I was definitely expecting him to kill it because of the Houndmaster threat. But he didn't, as you will see right now. Like I don't have basically any experience with this matchup yet, but I don't think that was a good play from him. Like, you know, taking 7 against the hunter is always gonna cost you. I burned the coin here, basically to check for counterspell. He doesn't play any. He plays ice blocks, which I think is also it's just not good. You know, like one ice block, okay, but he plays 2 in a tempo deck. It's too little. Like you're going against your own game plan, in my opinion. Here I was a little pissed that he rolled the 2/7 guy, but luckily I realized I have the Spellbreaker from the very start of the game. By the way, the card is amazing. You will see it used a couple more times over these matches. It's just great in this meta, apparently. Yeah, that was this. I didn't expect this because, to my knowledge, you know, Flame Strike isn't really being played in mage decks anymore. Definitely not in the tempo versions. But you know, Primordial Glyph is always a bitch. Now here, I think it comes a turn where I really fucked up, or rather a sequence of turns where I fucked up. So what I can do here is to do the Creeper and Houndmaster. And as I've said, it's incredibly strong. I get how much? 7, 11, 10 stats for 7 mana on 2 bodies. One of them, the bigger one of them, has taunt, so that's insane. But also, he has 3 creatures, and I know he doesn't have a counter spell. So I'm kind of, you know, thinking about it here. Again, I'm just going for the full-on damage spread over as many bodies as I can, with the plan of casting, you know, I expect my creatures to die, or most of them to die. So my plan for next turn is to just play everything, because it's very likely I will draw something that will cost 2 mana or 3 mana. I was expecting him to clear my board, basically, which he didn't do. Now he plays a second secret, and this shows how unexperienced I am. Like, so I was at this point I knew it was an ice block. It could have been the one that diverts a spell to a 1/3, but you know, that's very rare. So that wasn't the case. But like in this turn, I basically almost killed myself, because yeah, I made like 3 mistakes, I think, in this single turn. So like what I should have done here was to count my mana and damage first, And if I had done that, I would have known that I can play around his last secret. See, now I totally forgot about the explosive secret, so I played this guy here with the plan of pumping my pirates and trading with his board, basically. I don't, which is incredibly stupid now. I could have just traded a couple creatures and played the 5/5 and the Houndmaster on one of the dogs, and I would have I'd be completely safe. But now I done goofed. So I trade as much as I can. I will even use the bow, I think, to save the 1 damage. But I totally gave him an out, and I didn't have to. I could have played the 5/5 after clearing 3 of the small minions. I would only take 1 face damage from the explosive trap instead of... I know it's not the name, that's not the name, but you know what I mean. I would have only taken 1 damage instead of 3, and I would be able to clear most of his creatures except for the 2/7, I think. Now this was... he either has the S block or he doesn't. And so it could have been a barrier, so obviously I will use the hero power first, and luckily he didn't have it. So the score is tied. By the way, about the English commentary, I'm pretty sure it will be only Czech people listening to this, but on the off chance someone from the outside wants to check it out, I don't really mind. So I'm doing it in English. So another try on the Warlock. Let's see what we end up playing against. It's a druid, so immediately I was getting scared that it's gonna be an aggro druid. But as I said, Mattes likes playing decks that are a little bit more cool than that. So like when I thought about it, even before I saw his first play, I was like, yeah, that's unlikely. So I kind of thought that he was on the Jade Druid. So I kept the Geist, which again was probably a mistake because I'm playing so many expensive spells in this deck that I really need to mulligan for the cheap ones. But alright, that's discussed. That can be discussed. So I put him right. He was on the Jade. So I was kind of like, yeah, this is nice. I have the lucky guy, the 5 mana guy, who will get me into the Void Lord, and then I draw Void Lord immediately. And like, yeah, this is starting to look pretty bad. Like, I need some action here. He plays Wild Growth turn 2, which kind of solidifies, like, it's very likely now that he's playing some kind of like big Jade Druid. Another 5-drop. Now, I know I'm already in trouble. I've drawn about half of the expensive cards from my deck, more than that probably. And I didn't do anything in the game, and I don't have anything to come back. Now, at this point I knew I was probably fucked, because the luckies now don't do anything for me. I'm only playing the 3/9s to get them back, to get them from the luckies. So if I draw it the other way around, it's fucking useless. And it's not very likely that that's gonna happen, by the way. Definitely not by turn 4. I play the Amethyst here because I don't have any self-damaging cards in hand, so it's unlikely to get much better than that, and I need to play something. This at least gives me a reasonably good Hellfire if I happened to draw it, which I didn't. The reds were very bad for me in the matchups I played, but it's mostly due to the nature of the matchups. I'm definitely gonna play some more with this deck because it's really fun. You won't get to see it in this game where I top decked another 10 mana card, so obviously I'm just gonna die and not do anything this game. but it can be a lot of fun, and you will see that in at least one game. Alright, I crafted this legendary just for this tournament, and yeah, you will see it in action, but not in this game. It's another late game card, see, so I drew one 4 mana card, and that's it. All the other cards that I drew this game cost 5 or more mana, and I'm dying on turn 6, so obviously it's not gonna be very helpful. Yeah, great. 5 mana 2/2, just what you need to come back. And I'm dead because I don't have anything at this point. Like even now, none of my cards do shit. At this point, I was really down on the deck. As I've said, I've never played it before, so I was just like, and I knew it's kind of wacky, but I thought it had strong enough late game that if I get into a control mirror, I can win with it. Also, I really like playing control mirrors. It's a lot of fun for me. Okay, so at this point, I'm down one game. It's 2-1 for Mates. And once again, all expensive cards. And I'm like, dude, what's happening? And the deck, yeah, sure, the deck plays a lot of expensive cards, but it also plays quite a bit of cheap interaction. And you are okay tapping once or twice in the early game, so you should be able to draw into some of that cheap interaction. And then you have the combo with the Lucky into the Voidwalker, or Voidlord, I mean, which can really gum up the board very well. And then you can win the game in the late game against control decks really easily with your Nazot, with your Gul'dan, and with your Rain, or Rain. Looking back on it, it's yeah, the deck is perhaps too ambitious in what it's trying to achieve. Now the early game in this match was kind of weird. Like I think both him and I were kind of like off one turn from being on the perfect tempo. Like meaning if I had the 2-1 on the first turn, I could have tapped on the second turn and played the Stonehill Defender on the third. Didn't happen that way. But since none of us has a good ability to put a lot of early pressure on the board, it doesn't really matter. The game is very likely to go late game. I think here in this matchup specifically, the greediness of my version against his is very well displayed, and it pays off for me. Yeah, the big battle of the defensive creatures. It's always the really weird math in this situation. It's I honestly often have no idea if it's correct to attack or not. I think it might have been wrong in his case. Now he has his own rain, but luckily for me, last turn I tapped into the Spellbreaker. So I'm like, yeah, fuck, this card is gonna be good in Control Mirror. Then I realized I have it. And I windmill slam it instantly once I realize it. And that's a big part, I think, for why I get ahead in this game later. The card is incredibly slow, and I think it's questionable whether it's even good. I mean, the Rain Legendary. It takes ages to do anything, but it's so much value. It's on the complete extreme side of the value versus tempo spectrum, where the tempo is completely shit and the value is immense. Like, I think I should have just gemmed the Skulkengeist here. I didn't want to lose my own Mortal Coil, because I didn't basically want to look like an idiot. But it would have been a good decision here, because I would get the tempo. And I would force him to respond with something, and I'm fine losing my Skulkengeist. It's, you know. But instead I played the Tunneler with the intention of trading. Yeah, Siphon Soul just would cost me a lot of hit points, and at this point I was kind of worried. But the new lifesteal spell is incredibly strong. Like, you can heal yourself for 14 damage in a long game, and kill 2 huge creatures. That's insane. It's a great card, and it alone, I think, makes this control lock style decks viable. It's just so good. And it only asks you to play cards you would have played anyway. This jittering bullshit that I just played is it's interesting. Like, with the Amethyst in my hand, it's if I take a 2 mana cost, the spell is free, essentially. Here I'm a bit behind on the tempo, and I'm not sure if I can afford to be a little aggressive and play my lucky and go from there, or if I should clear first. I guess I'm getting a bit low on hit points, and he has some ability to burn me. Bone Marrow is really good here though, because even if he has Remove Soul, the 6 mana spell that kills one of my creatures, I still have the 5/5, and I will get rid of one of his creatures now anyway. So basically the pressure's gone. And I could have also just twisted Nethered him, or us, I guess. But I wanted to save that spell after he cooldowns or whatever. Yeah, he's playing the Dreadlord in his deck, so I'm assuming he also plays cooldown. The card is good but not great. I think it might not make the cut now that you have better options. But it's solid. Yeah, these control mirrors are amazing. You have so many options every turn. I wanted to get rid of the lucky as soon as I can, because I didn't want to draw the Void Lord again before I can actually fire it off. It would be disastrous. A 5 mana 2/2 isn't what you need to win a game. 5 mana 2/2 that gets you a 3/9 that gets you 3 3/1s, however, that's a different story. So yeah, obviously I get rid of it before I draw my other big creature. And now I'm pretty safe. I just want to add on some pressure, but not too much, because I'm sure that he can, that he has either Twisting Nether or Doom. Yeah, so that's enough creatures for him to do. And I still have a bunch in my hand. Obviously, he's playing his own. And it's just crazy. It kills basically anything and it gets you 3 more cards. Yeah, I'm just gonna stack up the pressure now because I drew the cooldown, so I know I can refresh the board after he clears it. And the Void Lords are fucking sticky, so it's not like just one Twisting Nether will solve it all. Yeah, my deck is pretty strong against the red. I don't give a fuck if he takes my creatures. Maybe Nazot will be annoying, but as it turns out, I don't even need it against him. Yeah, so many decisions to make here. I don't think the red here is particularly smart. I kinda didn't want to tap at this point because I was ahead in the game. I had a lot of good cards already, and he had less cards in the library. So I was kind of thinking about that angle too, which probably wasn't necessary at all. So I decided I'm gonna take it slow because I have uh, the seals now from Rain, which, as I've said, though incredibly slow, are basically like in yeah, it's so much value. It's gonna be really difficult for him to overcome it. Especially since now I'm at a high HP level, so it's very unlikely he could kind of somehow combo me out or something. I don't think there's anything in the standard now that would do that. Yeah, this defile is really sweet. I have to give him that. It's really good. Yeah, so he used 2 cards to clear the board, but I can fill it 3 times over still. Yeah, I'm just saving the cooldown. I don't even know if that was a good idea, but since this is my first time playing with this legendary, I wanted at least to see the card, you know? I wanted to see the Azari. But at this, he knows I'm close to it, so he's tapping because, like, all the time, if you've noticed, for several turns now. So he's basically drawn his deck already. I think he has 4 cards in his library this turn. And it was weird because, like, I was ready with my Twisting Nether too for his cooldown when that came. Or Jaraxxus, Jaraxxus would be good. Yeah, but obviously, like, playing against a deck like mine, even Jaraxxus wouldn't cut it because the 3/9s that come back repeatedly just gum up the board. Yeah, he'd have to play like 4, like 2 nethers, 2 dooms himself to clear it, and then he could deploy his own stuff. Yeah, now so I can play Azare like a boss and destroy his 2 cards. Obviously, not the greatest play. So I'll just clear his board, keep my 6 powered creature, put on the pressure. I'm bet he's nervous now because 3 health, 3 hit points are typically the point where you get killed out of the blue against a warlock. Yeah, so I have my complete late game in the hand because I too am already done. I think I have 5 cards or something left. Now I had a lot of trash demons on the board throughout the game, so it was a complete lottery what I get. I didn't get I got 1 Void Lord, which is nice, and I got 6/6, 5/5, 4/4. I thought that's great. Hardly could have been better. Okay, now he nethers me, and I can do basically anything now. I really don't have to play the Nazad here. I could just play play Azari, for example, for fun. Why not? But I just slam Nazad because I wanted him to see that I have it in the deck. Which, in retrospect, was a stupid idea because I gave him more information about my deck, and since I won the winners bracket, we would have played another series of the games. Had I lost this set of games that you're watching right now. He didn't have another Doom or something like that, so he just surrenders against my mighty army of demons. Did I get achievement for playing 1 demon this game? Not achievement, I mean like towards the daily quest. That's weird. I played way more demons than that. Yeah, and we're at the last game of the tournament. Oh no, I can't count actually. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we are at the 5th game. Now it's 2-2. So it's tied now. The hand that I kept was pretty strong, I think. I just lead on with the cleric because I always try to extract. Like basically in this deck, you just want to draw cards as quickly as you can, and I'm fine drawing 1 from the cleric, provided it saves me some hit points and some tempo as well. I just again like you don't care if he just pings it because it means he spends 2 mana on the ping and he doesn't develop any pressure, which is fine with you. The creeper is a really good card. Yeah, but I'm gonna rush the Raza on the logic that if he's a tempo deck, he has to gradually reduce my life. He can't just burst me from 30. And if I'm gonna heal for 2 every turn, it's gonna make it super difficult for him to do that. Because I can spend my mana on stopping his development. So he won't be able to develop that much. Uh, and all the pressure that he manages to use to actually try to kill me will be reduced by a lot over the game. Like, it would be fun to actually count how much I heal in the game. Yeah, this was a really good creature to play to the runes. Obviously, it's just 3 mana, so it's even on tempo, and it costs me just 1 life, so it's great. The turn for Raza is also a great tempo play because the 5/5 body is really big. The 4/3 creature, like all 4 power creatures, are traditionally really good against me, and the second current or mage is gonna be annoying. But Raza allowed me to get rid of the first one at least. And I'm gonna make quite a bit of mistakes if I remember correctly in this game. Because the deck is really complex and you have a lot of stuff that you can do, but it can then come back to haunt you if you do it too soon or too ineffectively. I'm gonna play the circle into his supposedly counter spell because I still don't know the deck perfectly by now. I know a little bit, I know it plays Ice Block and these explosive runes or whatever. The Glimmer Root is just a great card. It gives me, not the best card for my deck, but it's at least still a tempo play. Yeah, he could have theoretically played Spellbender, but I've definitely seen Mana Worm, so it was clear what I should take. Just steal his card because I want to keep the tempo down because I'm pretty sure that if I stay high on hit points and we get into the like super late game, I can win with my trump card. I have an Auctioneer in the deck. I have still Kazakus in my hand. Obviously, I have Anduin, and when I draw, together with Velen, so if I draw Anduin relatively soon, I can snipe him over a couple of rounds, and if I have Velen on top of that, I can kill him in a turn. Or 2, because he has the Ice Block. So that's also important that I control the game, because I can't just burst him, because then he's gonna just Ice Block and kill me in return. And I'm gonna make a huge blunder here. Like a pretty big fucking error, which luckily doesn't cost me the game, but it's a big one. And my opponent told me that he didn't kill me for like 1 hit point was yeah, how to phrase that. Yeah, he missed 1 damage, that's what I wanted to say. And here I was like, I can take a 1 mana spell because Kazaku's 1 mana spells are pretty good. Like they do reasonable effects. Like I could have gotten do 2 damage and draw a card, and I would clear his board with the Wild Pyromancer, and that would be a good play. But I want more value, so I go for a 5 mana, and I didn't have very good options, so I took do 4 damage to all creatures, revive 2 of my creatures, in the hopes that I can get back the 1/3 that will draw me more cards. Now I'm still afraid of counterspell. I think he didn't even play any. But I top decked a 1 mana spell, which allows me to clear the way. And I should have played the Kazakus spell here, because it was sufficient to clear the board and it would give me a board. So it would be just, it's the obvious play to make, but I have a brain fart and I played a Psychic Scream. I never saw it before, so maybe like, in my, like, just I really wanted to see the effect of it so bad that I did it, but it was just incredibly dumb. I should have played the potion and be good. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, what was I fucking thinking? And it comes to bite me. It comes back to bite me immediately. Because here I could have just played a Psychic Scream, and it would clear his board, and I would still have, mana to cast a creature or something. Now I'm kind of fucked. Like, I can't uh, play the Pyromancer and the potion, because it wouldn't trigger, I think. Or would it? I don't even know how this works right now. So if that works, that would be the play, of course. Yeah, it wasn't a counterspell from his deck, by the way, it was from a glyph, if you've noticed. So, but yeah, okay, so now this is the turn where he could have killed me. Like, he could have Fireball, Frostbolt or something. Yeah, he probably had a Fireball now that I look at it, or yeah, Fireball. And that leaves me with my 1 HP. And he lets me play. And now, like, I could play some creatures, but I don't have any spells to feed to my priest. So that wouldn't heal me for much, and I'm scared of his top deck. So I will play Velen, just so that I heal myself for 2 more. And also that I create pressure. Yeah, even more pressure, so that he has to respond. And not try to kill me. It's gonna be too difficult if I heal for 4 for a turn. But at this point, the game is basically won. Because, yeah, his tempo deck finally halted, and now he doesn't have stuff to kill me with. He has to kill the villain. Kill, yeah. Because otherwise the incremental advantage would just run him over real quick. So now he has 1 card, I don't remember it. And I have a pretty good set of creatures that survive everything. Yeah, you know, the priest of the feast survives everything. No, it doesn't. Meteor would kill it, but you know what I mean. Now this again is the game of like, do I want to press the game or do I want to play it safe? I decided to play it safe because I think there are very few cards that kill me. Of course, he was very unlucky that he didn't draw the new mage weapon, Alunet, because that card is insane and he would probably be able to just burn me down in 2 turns. Luckily for me, he draws it too late, and by that time I'm too well off. Yeah, I'll play the Pyro to put more pressure on, but since I'm a really bad player, I will then totally forget about how it works a couple times. You will see it for yourself soon. It's because this deck plays all the like all old interaction from the classic set or whatever. They are really old. That people really remember it when, for example, Control Warrior was popular, and even more so the Patron Warrior. So like all the tricks with Acolyte of Pain and the Mage. So yeah, like I'm gonna just screw. I'm just gonna be screwing it here. Yeah. So keep the Pyromancer alive. And I drew my Auctioneer, and I was discussing this with a friend whether I should play him or Lyra. I played the deck quite a couple of times actually, like I don't know, 40 times with Lyra, and like the card is really good at like keeping you alive, and sometimes it just does crazy shit. But that's like generally what you need to do to win with this deck is just draw Anduin. That's what the deck is all about. So Lyra gives you a lot of cards, but those cards don't get you any closer to the one card that you really want. Whereas Auctioneer, and as I said it, he drew me into Anduin, does draw you into it. So in my book, that's like all I need to consider. But I get like Lyra makes you more resilient. Like it can win you a game on its own, basically, against certain decks. So he finally drew the Aluneth or whatever, but unfortunately for him, he's already dead, basically dead. Like he has his ice blocks that I don't play any good answers to, so I just have to trigger them and wait. And now I have to decide whether I want to stay uh, in my normal form or if I want to become the Death Knight. It, yeah, it's probably. I think I should have stayed in my normal form, honestly, because the heals are more valuable than the damage. I can do the one damage, and it like in a couple turns anyway without a problem. Here I forgot that I'm drawing because I forgot about the pyromancer. I didn't want to draw that many. So I think I should have just stayed in my priest form and heal myself, and eventually Death Knight when I need the armor. So even though he now draws 4 cards a turn, he's too much. He's too behind. Like he can't have that many. Yeah, killing of the auctioneer so that I stop forgetting about it because it's just not there. If I stayed in my priest form, I could have just healed myself and I could have used the spells that I have in my hand to clear. It was obviously a huge mistake. I should have just traded. Yeah, so he finally like plays out his stuff, and it's done. So it was a game where just the priest deck managed to effectively use its singleton tools to stop the pressure and turn it around. I think if he played counter spells instead of the ice blocks, the matchup would probably go a little differently. Also, if I didn't have the turn for Raza, that's like crazy advantage. And even then, he almost killed me, even though I healed. Most of the turns I healed myself, so I must have healed myself for maybe 20 over just the beginning of the game, like over the first 15 turns or so. He now so now I'm 3-2 over him, which means that I only need to win with my last deck, which is a slightly different version of what he was playing against me now. And this is basically the perfect draw. Like, there's only one, and I'm gonna get the coin. So this makes it even quicker. Especially if I draw into... Yes, mana worm. So now this is probably one of the most explosive and insane games. And now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I can go really nuts in this game. He doesn't have a coin to break my counterspell. So I'm gonna play the counterspell, and the card is just insane. I'm sorry, I won't play the counterspell here because he doesn't have any good 2 mana spells. He can't kill the mana worm basically, which is gonna be my main source of damage. So I'm gonna save the counterspell for something that could kill my mana worm. And here I play the explosive rune because I'm anticipating that he plays a blocker. Which he does, and it plays it. So it's good from him to play it into the trap, I think. Like, it's, I doubt he has a better creature to send into it at this point. But it's just very, like, my draw is nuts. I don't think there's much his deck can do against it. Yeah, I had to tap because I didn't want to just play Medivh's Valet when I don't have a secret up. Might have been a better play to just play it. Probably would. It probably was, actually. I should have played it. Yeah, I definitely should have played it. But now I play the counterspell. And he draws a card. And doesn't think about it that long. And just smacks it because it's the best answer basically he could have drawn. Heal him for 3 and kill it cleanly. But he kinda didn't realize that I am playing counterspells. I'm playing 2 of them in fact. So it stopped, and now I used my fireball because it was mana efficient and it boosted my mana worm even more. And I top decked the first bolt, which was gonna kill him next round if he doesn't heal himself. He didn't, and I killed him in my 5th turn. So I was really lucky in this series of games. I wasn't, very proficient with the decks. But I think standard right now seems to be quite a bit of fun. I think the games were fun. I definitely enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice time.